There's Mandy. She likes being in control. Huh? Have you noticed that? She's a new member of our family here, and we're slowly edging her in, and she's going to be doing the weekend anchor news this weekend on the Air Radio Network. There's Mandy right there. And I'm Big Daddy.
Come on over for a minute.
And so this is Mandy. This is the gal you hear on the news, and a new member of our. And Mandy does a lot of stuff with us on Halton Hills Online, our local radio, and she's our entertainment director, isn't she?
Absolutely.
And she's and she's also a great artist.
Another team member.
And a great artist as well, of course. We're brought to you by FM108.ca, Canada's oldie station this week. And you get Big Daddy in the morning, of course, with Bud the Spud on a stick, and Peter the piano player with a polyester tie, and all the gang. And Bert Toms is on from 10 to 2 weekdays. He's an original 108er like me from 40 years ago. And 2 to 6 is Glenn Darling, the godfather, Glenn Darling, who originated FM 108 back in 1976. And he's on from afternoons. We got Steve West at night, and just
Great tunes, man.
50s, 60s, 70s. If you want to get lost in a time warp, plus we have the latest news, weather, sports. FM108.ca is your place to be. And you know, it's you listen to oldies radio now, as we do. I'm a bit of a historian when it comes to radio. When you listen to the radio today, there's about when it comes to an oldies, they have a playlist of maybe 300 songs.
Yeah.
We have over 5,000 tunes on our, and we dig up songs you haven't heard in years. And we, you know.
Yeah, you do, because I when I'm working away at the computer some days, I just get into that mood. I can go between the three stations all together that we have, and that's one of my favorites, because you know me in my 60s and 70s.
And of course, we were originally FM 108 back in the 80s when we were broadcasting from Burlington. And had Rock and Robin and Pete Jaycock and John Miller and the whole. And hello to Stu Patterson, by the way, and David Carr.
Hi, Stu.
My Uncle Rex, he was a filling guy there at FM 108 for many years. He worked with Rock and Robin quite often.
Who was that?
My Uncle Rex, Rex Lakin.
Really? Yeah. Yes, I remember that name now. Rex Lakin.
Yeah, that's my uncle.
That was your uncle?
Yes.
How have we worked together for so many years? I didn't know that.
I thought you did.
I had no idea.
I thought you knew that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You just blown my mind. Rock and Robin was a lot of fun to work with.
Yeah. He had a great time. He worked with him for quite a few years, actually.
Yeah, he was one of the great. He was the Dick Biondi of Canada. Dick Biondi of Canada.
I remember even my mom, because of my Uncle Rex working with him, he would be at some of our family parties and family dues and stuff like that. And it was so funny because when I met him at the radio reunion at the Gib, I brought it up to him, and he remembered it. He goes, "Oh my God!" He was just blown away.
Robin's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. Actually, you don't know that about him because you think he's a rock and roll DJ, but he is so funny.
Oh God, yeah,
really is.
Hilarious.
And his views on life are amazing. All right,
so check out FM108.ca. It's a great radio station. Leave it on at work. It's a great place to have it. It's a dynamite one to have at work.
We are the Top 40 Timeline audio show, video, and vlog or podcast or podcast. What is it we call ourselves?
Vlog.
The Top 40 Timeline Vlog is what we are. And so we're going to take a couple of top stories. I'll do one. Lee, you can do one. And then we'll let her start her trivia. You know, we got to get this done, you know. So
this is a funny one, this one.
This one here. There's sweet and there's savory. Then there's this.
Absolutely.
Fast food chain Subway has created a new sandwich just in time for Easter. And it's a doozy. The cream egg sub melt features an ooey gooey Cadbury cream egg on a 6-inch bun. Friday, for one day only, grab yourself a free sub melt made with Cadbury UK cream egg. Read the caption for Subway's Instagram post that's attached to whatever we're doing here, which accompanied a video of the sickly sweet sandwich treat. We got it linked up at Big Daddy's Morning Funnies on Facebook. Thankfully, it's only available at 4 select locations across the UK, where Cadbury's chocolate remains and reigns supreme every day of the year, and not just during Easter. So, unsurprisingly, residents across the pond and those who boast wide-ranging palates were intrigued. That looks amazing, wrote one person, who may need to make an appointment with an optometrist sooner or later, while another added, I'd be all over that. And one user joked, they're like, well, bet you won't be able to tell which one has more sugar, our regular bread or the Cadbury filling. Remember that thing about the sugar in the bread for
Subway?
So it wasn't called.
They can't call it bread.
Can't call it bread. But I love Subway. I mean, not that.
Oh no, I do
too. He was pretty damn quick to get that out of there.
I mean, I love a nice sub sandwich, and I also love Cadbury's cream eggs, but not on the same serving.
It would be different if it was made with like the Hush Puppy. You know, somehow like a Hush Puppy type bread or something. I could see that.
The other thing too is the UK Cadbury is very different than the Canadian Cadbury.
Oh yeah.
The chocolate is it tastes totally different over in the UK.
As a matter of fact, Tarzan Dan even went on the Facebook, our buddy Tarzan Dan Freeman, and he went on and he was talking about that the other day because somebody went to England and brought him back some real Cadbury chocolate.
Right.
And he said, man, it's just, and it is. I mean,
phenomenal.
I think, is that the sugar cane or something? Or?
They use different, it's different ingredients,
Different ingredients.
So
it's just,
it's way better. Whenever my ex's father would go over, he'd bring back, he'd literally buy a suitcase there. Yeah. And I mean, a big freaking suitcase. Yeah. And he'd open it up and it would just loaded with chocolate.
Yeah.
What did he do? Eat it all or put it in the freezer and take it out as he could?
No, he just, the last day he's there, go shopping, he'd hit the store.
No, but I mean when he comes back though, and he's got all this chocolate.
It's for all the family, right?
I was gonna say.
What was that movie that Mandy was saying that she had to cover her eyes? What was the name of it?
Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah. What's the next story?
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
Listen to this one.
Yeah, imagine
I can't
this.
do snakes either.
Here's a bad day at work. A pilot in South Africa made a hasty emergency landing after discovering a highly venomous cobra hiding under his seat. Not in the plane, but under his seat. Just look at Amanda cringing over there. Rudolph Emrys had 4 passengers on board the light aircraft during Monday's flight when he felt something cold slide across his lower back. He glanced down to see the head of a fairly large Cape Cobra receding back under his seat, he said. It was as if my brain didn't know what was going on, and how would it? And this is what he's saying to the Associated Press.
Well, what do you do?
Exactly. So after a moment of composing himself, he informed his passengers of the slippery little stowaway, and there was a moment of stunned silence, he said. Everyone stayed cool, especially the pilot, thank God, because he's flying the plane. The pilot called air traffic control for permission to make an emergency landing in the town of Welcome in South Central Africa.
It would be welcome too, wouldn't it?
He still had to fly for at least another 10 or 15 minutes to land the plane with the snake by his feet.
Can you imagine?
No wonder, or no word on whether a change of underwear was needed by anybody.
I think they'd have to remove the whole seat after that.
I
Oh my God.
Like and the fact
Good for him.
You got to stay calm. You got to stay cool, dude. High praise, my friend. High praise.
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
There's nothing more creepy in the snake world than a cobra, anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're going to pick a snake, you might as well get that one.
I mean,
the one
can
that
you
stands
imagine
up and looks at you.
Can you imagine him just sitting up with his head all out, and just looking at you? That would be a crash just waiting to happen with me. I don't
imagine it slithering down your back.
Oh man.
That's enough out of you.
Just that alone right there.
There's another story, folks, that you just can't make up. Okay, what's going on in the world of Leah's rock and roll trivia?
In 2002, this is Spinal Tap. The mock documentary directed by Rob Reiner about the fictional heavy metal band was deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant by the U.S. Library of Congress and was selected for preservation by the United States National Film Registry. Yeah, that was crazy, wasn't it?
I would hope that would be saved. And it was funny because Rob Reiner actually, a new word came into light from that movie, and it was called a mockumentary.
Mockumentary. I love Rob Reiner. Is such a talented guy.
Oh God, Meathead, great guy.
So many.
That was his best. I gotta say,
yeah,
sorry, but
yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, and that's I love that meme you see sometimes on social media where they show Archie Bunker and go, today's society couldn't watch that show.
No,
they get so offended by that show.
Yeah, I've got the meme. I've actually got it saved. I was gonna put it on our Facebook.
Even for that matter too, shows like Sanford and Son, the Jeffersons. There's a lot of racial undertones in those shows.
Do you know all those shows?
Overtones
too. Yeah.
Both of those shows you just mentioned stem from earlier British shows that they copied.
Absolutely.
The Americans, All in the Family, was some or not some. It's every Till Death Us Do Part with Warren Mitchell.
Yeah.
Warren Mitchell, I think his name was, and that was the original of All in the Family.
Americans copied so much of the British shows.
Sanford and Son was Steptoe and Son.
Yeah.
And Steptoe was Paul McCartney's uncle on Hard Day's Night movie in the train.
Oh, I didn't know that. See,
That's
I'm
Steptoe.
learning something too.
See?
That's cool.
All right.
Sure.
Elton John was quoted, and you can't believe some of these rock stars and how it goes to their head. Listen to this.
Yeah.
I could be unbelievably, this is what Elton John said, I could be unbelievably horrible and stupid on tours. I remember looking out of my room at the Inn on the Park one day and saying, "It's too windy. Can someone please do something about it?"
He's been quoted with many types of things like this.
He sounds like a guy that gets irritable easy, too. Here's a little bit of history. April the 7th, this week in history, in 1805, Beethoven's Third Symphony is premiered in Vienna's theater under Wien. Innovative in length, the size of the orchestra many criticize the first movement of its dissonant chords. Am I saying that right?
Dissonant chords.
Dissonant chords.
All right. And here's something I can get my hands around here. 1956, it was a network TV premiere of Rock and Roll Dance Party with my hero, Alan Freed.
Did you see
CBS.
Mark Panopoulos piped up on that at where I had the album, and he said, "I have that album," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
Oh, Mark has every album.
Mark has everyone. I
was gonna say wasn't a shock, but
Mark does
the same.
Go ahead.
Good job, Mark.
1959, as the snow melts in Mason City, Iowa, Buddy Holly's glasses are found from the plane crash that killed him 2 months earlier. They're turned into police, where they stay until 1980 when a sheriff finds them and returns them to Holly's widow.
Wow. They actually found his glasses.
Glasses, yeah. And you know, you put those on Sotheby's or something like that, imagine what they would sell for.
Oh.
Not just being his glasses,
but the ones he died
from
with.
The accident.
That's right.
Would just, I bet it would probably be one of the highest selling items they ever sold.
What happened
Definitely.
in 1988?
So in 1988, when the piano wire that keeps him safely suspended during his gallows stunt snaps, Alice Cooper nearly hangs himself for real on stage at Wembley Arena in London.
I remember that.
Me too. He's able to slip his chin over the rope to keep his neck from snapping until a roadie can show up and rescue him.
Oh, that's not funny.
No.
He could have died from that.
Yeah, that was pretty serious, and he was hurt. He was hurt pretty bad, and it took him a long time to recover from that one.
Alice has a great radio show too.
Oh God, yeah, I've been listening to him for years.
Yeah, him and I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
We collaborate.
Who?
Alice and I, we collaborate on the...
You know Alice Cooper?
Yeah, we collaborate on this stuff.
Oh, I know you do. Yeah.
Alice
has a great. Alice uses a lot of stuff that we do. You know, I mean, I think.
No, he's a natural.
Where do you think he gets it from?
That's right.
He's a natural.
Gets it from. You're being followed around by Alice.
There you go.
There you go. A wee tidbit here. Peter Frampton's 1976 U.S. #1 album, Frampton Comes Alive, was pressed in automatic sequence with sides 1 and 4 on one record, followed by sides 2 and 3 on the other, to make it easier to listen through the whole album in sequence on automatic record changes. You had 2 records, and there you go. Yeah. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
But, who didn't have that album?
Oh, God, yeah. One of the highest selling albums worldwide.
I had the album
Still
and the
today.
cassette.
I think it's in the top 3 of the most selling albums of all time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I do believe.
Rumors is up there, Dark Side of the Moon, and that one. And maybe Goodbye Yellow Road, I'm not sure.
No, it's further down
I don't.
the
I
list.
was gonna say, I don't
I'm just
think
an
so.
Elton John maniac, so.
Same here. I got
Captain
to meet him when I was 5. So
Captain Fantastic and the Brown
go in his limo, go to the concert.
You and Miss Presley.
Right? Yeah.
That was her favorite. She met him when she was about 6.
Yeah, somewhere along there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She
and
followed
Elvis
him
arranged
religiously.
a meeting with Elton John.
Yeah.
Imagine that, eh? Well, when the King calls, I mean, even Elton John will jump, right? What are you gonna do? What's going on?
Interesting little tidbit here as well. Barry White's first concert was a Jackie Wilson concert when he was 14 years old.
Wow. Barry White.
Come
here and give me a kiss.
Who doesn't?
No, yeah, I know. This just his voice was incredible. It was an incredible voice.
Oh yeah.
1937, country musician Merle Haggard is born in Oildale, California. And for the first years of his life, he lived in an abandoned boxcar that his father converted into a home. Isn't that amazing?
That ain't redneck. I don't know what
I'll
it is.
tell
It
you.
actually didn't look bad if you'd see. There's photos of it. From years ago. Now it's they were fixing it up now though, or in the last handful of years.
It's going to probably be considered historic. Right?
Well, Merle Haggard is just an icon in country music
of course,
too.
So,
of course.
Country music god, really.
Oh yeah.
1956, the Capitol Tower, new home of Capitol Records, opens on the corner of Hollywood and Vine in Los Angeles. The 13-story building, which resembles a stack of records, houses 3 new recording studios where Frank Sinatra, Bobby Darin, Linda Ronstadt, and many other stars will lay down tracks. The building becomes an LA landmark with the red light at the top flashing Hollywood in Morse code.
Wow.
Wow. That's cool.
The Capitol Tower.
Linda Ronstadt, I love that voice too. Oh my God.
There's a Capitol Tower still there, isn't it?
I believe so.
Oh, yes.
I hope
do
so.
believe so.
It is.
I hope so.
To my knowledge, it is.
1972, the Monkees' Mickey Dolenz guest stars as himself on the Barbara Lost episode of ABC TV's My Three Sons.
I used to love that show.
Me too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you remember that?
And again,
I haven't heard about that till I saw this clip, and I thought, oh my God, I forgot about it.
Again, back then, you got to remember that you only had 3 or 4 shows or 3 or 4 channels to choose from. So you fell in love with these shows whether you wanted to or not, really, in a lot of ways. Because it just became a staple, right?
Yeah, because you had less to choose from. Nowadays, you've got to turn around, you got something else coming at you.
I'm going to take this next one. 1980, Andrew Wood forms the group Malfunction.
No, Malfunction.
Malfunction, right.
I'm glad you made a mistake, too, this week.
In Seattle, Washington, marking what some do consider the beginning of grunge music. The music of it's spelled phonetically.
I know.
Malfunction.
I know.
Makes an impact on Wood's roommate, Chris Cornell, who forms Soundgarden. And, I love Soundgarden.
Me too.
Wood moves on to Mother Love Bone after he dies of a heart attack in 1990. The group adds Eddie Vedder and becomes Pearl Jam. So, great bands, awesome music. That's driving music, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's on the highway with your foot down and just giving her.
Well, giving her. That's a Canadian saying, if there ever was one.
Yeah.
Give her.
Give her.
Give her. Boy, did Jesus give her, boy. All right, a wee tidbit here. Early AC/DC publicity info claimed Angus Young was born in 1959 to help his schoolboy image, but he was actually born in 1955. He's a lot older than people think. Well, only 4 years.
Look at him.
But,
why wouldn't you say 65 or something? You know?
Yeah, really.
For 4 years, I mean.
I'll do a couple more here. In 1989, Jim Morrison was quoted.
69.
Did I say 69? Yes.
You said 89.
Did I? No, I didn't. I said 59, didn't I?
59.
Oh, 59.
In 1969, Jim Morrison was quoted, "We have fun, the kids have fun, the cops have fun." It's kind of a weird triangle. And he got into a lot of trouble with the coppers, didn't he? Yeah. These little pigs, he used to call them when he was on stage, and they get pissed off and drag him off and arrest him.
He used to flash his parts on the stage.
Oh, I know.
Shaking his winky around there.
He was something, wasn't he? I'll tell you.
Gotta love Jim, though.
Well, if you watch the new documentary on the newer Woodstock that they had tried to do again, the newer one.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and Flea comes out with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, butt-ass naked.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. That's a good one.
Dickie wailing around.
Yeah, but Jim was one of the first, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He led the parade.
Here's a little bit of history and trivia for April the 5th, this week in history, 1967. Monkees fans march in London in protest of band member Davy Jones' announced induction into the Army. The teen heartthrob is eventually exempted from duty for being his family's main provider. But that was...
Now, that wouldn't have happened to just anybody.
Well, back then they had the draft. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
You were drafted.
That's it.
That's right. That's right.
No option.
You know, Bill Clinton got rid of the draft. I remember when that happened because you had a ton of people that were living up here in Canada that moved back to the States.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the only reason they left is because of the draft.
Yeah, the draft was a big deal.
They left quickly.
Who's up next?
Okay, so 1968. With tensions high the night after Martin Luther King Jr. is assassinated, James Brown goes ahead with his concert at the Boston Garden, agreeing to televise the show to help keep calm in the city. Riots are breaking out across America in response to King's assassination. Oh, yeah, that was crazy. The Boston mayor considers canceling the show along with all other public events, but an African-American councilman convinces him to televise it instead. Brown agrees to the plan, and it airs live on the Boston Public Television station WGBH. There is a heavy police presence at the show, which nearly turns violent when concertgoers rush the stage. Before police can take action, Brown intervenes, telling the cops to stand down and pleading for respect from the crowd. Go down and let's do this show together, he pleads. We're black. Don't make us all look bad. The crowd complies and Brown finishes the show without incident. Cool. In the city, crime is down compared with the typical Friday night, and the telecast cast, oh my goodness, clearly had the intended effect.
That must have been a hard show for James Brown to do.
That'd be tough to do. That would be tough to do because you already got the nerves going just because of the show, and then add that extra pressure.
Well, I remember knowing everything that's going on around you, right?
Yeah. I was 8 years old, but I do remember how sad my parents were that night. And when you're 8, you don't.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
But I do remember
learning about it over the years as an adult.
That's what I was going to say.
You tend to, and there is some video footage of the riots, or small riots that started, but it did seem to calm it down, and it worked. So that's it's awesome. 1984. Marvin Gaye's funeral takes place in Los Angeles with Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones, and Berry Gordy attending. Gaye died 4 days earlier when he was shot by his father during an argument. And
can you imagine?
Yeah, that story still makes me wonder what the whole story is behind it, because you've never really heard the whole story about what really happened.
Well,
what went so wrong that a father would kill his son?
And especially the son would be Marvin Gaye.
Yeah. I love Marvin Gaye.
Oh, Marvin Gaye was a wonderful man.
He was at the height of his career.
He was coming back. Sexual healing just hit the charts when he got killed.
Yeah.
It's terrible. All right, so we have in 2017, at age 73, Barry Manilow comes out as gay. Manilow tells people that he has been in a romantic relationship with his manager, Gary Keefe, for nearly 40 years. They met in 1978, and they married in a secret ceremony in 2014. The National Enquirer reported on the union in 2015, and while Barry wore his wedding ring and didn't deny his marriage to Keefe, he didn't talk publicly about his sexuality. When he was 21, Manilow married his high school sweetheart, Susan Dixler, but that only lasted a year. And Manilow says he waited to come out for the fear of disappointing his fans. After the announcement, he has met with overwhelming support. As luck would have it, he has a new album coming out in 2 weeks.
You mentioned
Does he really?
Who didn't know that, right? And here it's funny because a lot of people, another 10 years older than us, they really didn't know.
No, I can believe that.
They had no idea.
Doesn't make any difference.
No, it doesn't make any difference. But Lee had made a comment. Well, yeah, of course he was. Who didn't know that? Yeah. And I'm just saying there were a lot of
First time
people
I saw the guy
that were older. Well, yeah, but I'm saying older than us, right? It wasn't something that people came out as back then. You didn't talk about it, right?
No, it was taboo.
Which they politely say disappointing fans, but
well, I can see some of the female fans being disappointed that he's gay, maybe because they don't have a chance now. You know what I mean? But
I still think a lot of it back then was more because it was not something that you were open about.
I'll tell you one thing about Barry Manilow. He's up there with Burt Bacharach as one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Just
amazing.
incredible.
Because again, a lot of people don't know that a lot of the songs they write may not be recorded by them.
Not only songs, but things, commercials.
That too.
You deserve a break today at McDonald's. We do it all for you. That's Barry Manilow that wrote that. You don't know. A lot of people say, "Wow, I didn't know that." Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Now you do. I think it's that one. One of the McDonald's main. He wrote a lot of stuff, but
So today, April 4th, 1968, U.S. civil rights activist Martin Luther King is killed, and after being shot on a Memphis motel balcony. King's life inspires a number of songs, including U2's "Pride in the Name of Love." 3 days after King's assassination, Nina Simone performs a song written in tribute, "Why? The King of Love is Dead." Further musical tributes are conflated with the death of Senator Robert Kennedy, who was killed 2 months later. The Rascals' "People Got to Be Free," inspired by King and Kennedy, goes to number 1 in August. Later in the year, Dion has a hit with "Abraham, Martin, and John," a song about King, Kennedy, and Abraham Lincoln. Even Elvis gets in on it with a King Kennedy song called "If I Can Dream."
That was a huge hit for Elvis in 1969. And
it was.
The biggest song, I think, is probably "Pride in the Name of Love" for our generation. But and then again, a lot of people, U2 fans, don't even know what that song's all about.
No.
It's all about Martin Luther King.
They just like the music.
Exactly. Great tune. Awesome tune.
Oh, yeah.
The most trenchant tributes to King comes more than a decade after his death, when his legacy is unbound from Kennedy's, and that Stevie Wonder leads a successful campaign to get King's birthday declared a national holiday. And with his 1980 track "Happy Birthday," written by King's honor, U2 learns about King in 1983 when they visit the Chicago Peace Museum, leading to the two songs, "The Unforgettable Fire," and of course "Pride in the Name of Love" as well. "Milk" is the other one. And Bono refers to the shooting as early morning April 4th in the lyric, although it actually happened at 6 p.m. But I wonder why he changed that. But maybe he didn't want to get sued. I don't know.
Maybe.
You never know. Who knows when you're putting out a song.
Somebody or,
that's right. Yeah. What else?
In ensuing years, songwriters of all stripes lionize King. Public Enemy pleads his case in "By the Time I Get to Arizona." Rage Against the Machine calls him a renegade of funk. The folk music community, a powerful voice for King's work during his lifetime, also comes through with Patty Griffin's "Up to the Mountain," reflecting on his famous speech. Hip-hop is sprinkled with references to King, and with the game "NAS Collaboration Letter to the King," explaining how they came around years after youthful indifference. You feel the first Braveheart, and we miss you. So
It's
a lot of musicians backed him up. And how could you not?
How could you not talk about
He's
him
a
for
great
5
guy.
minutes? He was an incredible influence,
Absolutely.
not only
In many ways.
on society, but on music. Look at the inspiration he had. So many artists, used his music. And let's get on here. A wee tidbit here. Pope Benedict, the top rock album, the 14th, isn't it?
No, that's the 16th.
Is that the 16th? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, pardon me. Pope Benedict the 16th top rock album. You know what it is?
I love that.
The Beatles' Revolver. That's the Pope that listens. I can't imagine the Pope listening to Revolver.
Jigging around there.
You know what I mean?
Hat on.
So you say it's your birthday.
Hey, listen, they got their own little things underneath their
Of course. Under what? Pardon
under
me?
their cape.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, I'll do one more. Brian Epstein was quoted on the Beatles. They were fresh and they were honest and they had star quality. Whatever that is, they had it, or I sensed that they had it. And a little bit of history here in trivia from April the 4th this week in history. In 1960, RCA Victor decides to release all future singles, starting with its next one, Elvis Presley's "Stuck on You," in both mono and stereo versions.
Yep.
So there you go. That's the birth of stereo was 1960 but of course stereo's been around for a long time now.
Yeah.
1969, here's a show, another one that kind of brought up a memory. CBS cancels the highly rated but controversial Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. CBS cancels the highly rated but controversial it's on there twice. Okay, well,
it is on there twice.
Artists to appear on the show include The Who, The Doors, and Jefferson Airplane. Yeah. Remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Can you remember that?
I love that show, man.
They were funny guys.
They were funny as heck, man.
They were amazing together. Absolutely.
1978, Loretta Lynn sings One's on the Way on an episode of The Muppet Show. Because the Muppet Theater is supposedly being fumigated, the entire show takes place at a railroad station.
Wow, Loretta Lynn, boy. 1981, Styx hit #1 in the U.S. with Paradise Theater, a concept album based on the rise and fall of theater in Chicago. Keyboard player Dennis DeYoung came up with the concept after seeing a piece of artwork by Robert Addison depicting the theater in decay. The majestic venue was built in 1928 but lost its luster just a few decades later. It was closed in 1958. So don't need to really go into any more than that because we're running out of time here. The Everly Brothers managed to take 6 girls' names into the top 40. Wake Up Little Susie, Claudette, Take a Message to Mary, Poor Jenny, Kathy's Clown, and
Lucille.
Right on.
No, that's when you think about it, the girls' names were popular then for songs.
Sure they were.
You know, like
you had
look up all the way up to the Beach Boys. Look how many songs they did about.
Think about it. You know, Richie Valens had Donna.
Yeah.
The Beach Boys had Wendy. Run Around Sue was Dion. Help Me Rhonda.
You know, it's
Mandy by Barry Manilow. There you go. I can't think of a Leah.
Yes,
Leah by Roy Orbison.
And you know what? When they created that song,
by Donnie Iris too.
Yeah, it was. And when they created that song, they had no idea it was a name. It was just Aliyah. Like they didn't. It was just what they were using. And then they found out it was a girl name, and they broke it out. So it was actually a girl's name.
We just blow each other's minds all the time, don't we? What's going on here with the Gerard's Way?
Gerard's Way. I didn't know this. This was new for me. Gerard's Way from My Chemical Romance. His first job was as a comic book artist. In fact, Gerard's Way, the Umbrella Academy, which is a Netflix or what I've seen on Netflix, as an American comic book series created and written by him and illustrated by Gabriel Ba.
That's very cool.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I had no idea. No. 1959, cool. Because of the references to bad behavior in school, like writing on the wall and throwing spitballs. You don't throw a spitball, though. The British Broadcasting Corporation bans the Coasters' song Charlie Brown, and the ban is lifted 2 weeks later.
The BBC went overboard on many of that.
They were weird. They still are kind of
out
there.
Yeah, not so much as they used to be, though.
I watch the Sky feed that comes from Britain on my Android box, and there's some cool shows on there, but the BBC has some. They really stick to the oldies.
Yeah, they've always been the establishment in the UK has always been the BBC. I must admit.
This next story, I remember this.
All right, so we've got in Memphis in 1980. Did I skip by one? I did. No, I didn't. No, you did the Charlie Brown story. In 1980, in Memphis, on their first U.S. Tour, Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders gets in an altercation at a bar and is arrested. She kicks out the window of the police cruiser sent to take her away and spends the night in jail. Her group performs the next night at Poets Music Hall. But Chrissy's been known to...
She does protesting. She used to do all kinds of stuff.
You don't mess around with Chrissy. She was in and out of jail
like you go in and out of your bedroom to sleep.
She's very vocal on stage about her opinions and stuff as well.
Yeah. And, well, good for her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kudos. 1995, the Real Audio Player is introduced, allowing users to stream audio over the internet for the first time. Over the next few years, many artists use it to post songs or samples of them on their websites.
Wow, that's cool. I mean,
it is
95.
and it isn't, but because that was kind of the downfall of CDs and records and tapes going out the door.
And it was also the downfall of the musicians and how much control they had over their music.
Control.
Which is where it started. It's like a full circle.
Yeah.
It's like a full circle.
Yeah, and money as well.
Right?
You know, you got bands out there now that are, they're putting out albums, but and touring, but it's not the same way now. It's so vastly different. At least they're making their money now. Whereas when this
we got to get this story in before the end of the show.
All right, 2007, Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards denied that he snorted the ashes of his late father.
Oh my God! Oh God, no!
Richards' manager told MTV News that he remarks were made in jest, and she could not believe they'd been taken seriously. Richards had said in an interview that he was cremated, and I couldn't resist grinding him up with a little bit of blow. But the NME interviewer, Mark Beaumont, was convinced that Richards was not joking when speaking to him about the alleged incident. He seemed to be quite honest about it. There were too many details for him to be making it up. He later told
come on.
BBC.
Keith Richards is a whole lot of things, but that, there's no way.
I don't know, man.
I don't think so.
All right, we're running out of
Mandy,
time.
get over here. We're going to say goodbye. We got Mandy here, and of course, we're brought to you by FM108.ca, Canada's oldies station this week, as we rotate our radio stations there. There you go.
Yeah, check it out. You get a chance. Big Daddy Russ Horton. We got Mandy. We got Leah. But myself, Lee. Have yourselves a great week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We love you guys for tuning in every week. And check us out next week for our top 40 timeline. All loosey goosey as usual.
Am I supposed to remember anything at the end?
Uniting community worldwide.
That's right.
Can't even read anything on this book anymore. Anyway. Have a great week,
My
everybody.
yellow bomb.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Be safe.
She's really a bunny rabbit.
Oh, hunting those pesky wabbits. Oh, jeez.
Wabbit.
Crazy wabbit.
Is that it? Stop smiling.